My name's Adrienne Fukui. My daughter Ren came for preschool when she was 4.
My name is Elena Montano, and my daughter Maggie goes to Central Cove.
My name is Jennifer Russi. My husband and I grew up here in the Basin, and we have a 3.5-year-old son that has attended Central Cove last year.
Like I said, Ren is anxious, and so she was not excited to come to school. She came crying the first few weeks of school.
So Maggie was diagnosed autistic a little after she turned 2, and we got her enrolled in state programs, but of course we wanted her to go to a preschool program that had special needs in mind.
Part of my concern was his want to wander. So he likes to sometimes get away from an area. So I was concerned about his ability to stay in the classroom or to stay focused on projects.
As the year went on, I noticed that Ren was able to talk to adults more. Like, we would be at the library and she would go ask the librarian for help finding a book, or we'd be out to dinner and she could talk to the waitress about what she wanted for dinner. And so Ren blossomed here. She found her voice, and she found that she could use it other places just besides home and school, and I loved that for her.
Positive impacts on Maggie coming to Central Cove. There's so many I probably couldn't think of all of them to list. She gained so much independence by riding the bus, which I was very worried about at the first day of school. She had no problem with any separation with me. She didn't seem to get bored or be fearful on the bus at all. Her teachers experienced no issues getting her off the bus. She was always very happy.
I couldn't get him to sit down for more than 5 minutes. I couldn't get him to stop and focus on an activity. And after going to Central Cove, he now plays with Play-Doh, and he'll sit at the table for a good 15-20 minutes of time. And that is a really great improvement.
But Ren also learned how to make friends at Central Cove with her peers. She learned that she could find things in common with boys and girls, and now, we signed her up for T-ball this year, and I noticed that she made friends on her team, and I think that started here. Because before Central Cove, we really only had we had our friends, but we spent a lot of time just our family, and so she spent a lot of time just with her sister. And that's great, but it's easy to get along with your sister that you've known basically your whole life. So I think Central Cove helped her learn how to make friends and helped her learn how to speak to adults, and that I think will get her pretty far in kindergarten.
Other positive things that we've gotten from Central Cove is just the communication with the staff. You know, whether it's administration, the director, the secretary, her teachers, everyone takes my calls or my questions openly and happily. I'm never made to feel like I'm bothering anybody or I'm being too intrusive with asking a question about her day or how class is going.
He showed a lot of his negative emotions with his body. So there was head throwing and arm throwing, or headbutting. Mm-hmm. And there's been a reduce in that. And it's more of a complaint, but not so much physical. Like, he's getting better at actually saying he didn't want that by responding in a whiny voice, saying the thing that he doesn't want rather than being physical, which we were really grateful for, because it was getting we just didn't know how to navigate that.
I saw in Ren empathy. Before, she would do nice things for her sister here and there, but she would come home from school and tell me about how she helped that classmate that day or how she had played with that classmate. And I loved that for her because I feel like those bonds are special, and those are not bonds we get to create every day, but they'll help soften our hearts. And like I said, she was only 4, but I could see this empathy growing within her, and it was awesome.
And I think that so many of the prejudices in this world and places where bullying starts is because of fear and its lack of experience. So I'm really happy that not only does Maggie get to develop in an inclusive classroom, but also that the typical developing children are able to be in a classroom with her and maybe better understand children that don't communicate the same way that they do, or don't necessarily want to play with them but play beside them. I wish that I had been in a more inclusive school growing up, because I think that my life would probably look a lot different.
I really appreciated the way that my son was treated just like all the other kids. I know that all kids are different and they all grow at different rates and paces. And it's really good to see him in an environment where all of the children are learning the same things at the same time, with that special attention to some when needed, but it's still all together, which I really enjoy that.
The support and services provided by Central Cove, I think they go above and beyond. Not to disregard any home preschools, because they're great and they serve who they need to serve. But what I loved about Central Cove was I felt like there were professional, educated, compassionate teachers here.
One of your speech professionals mentioned to me specifically that some of the things Maggie displayed with her speech and language could possibly be an indicator that she is a Gestalt language processor. I had never heard that term before, and she was in speech therapy for over a year before we moved here. Never came up. So knowing that and having that information really helped me, myself and my family, learn how to communicate with her better, but also understand how she was communicating with us. And
Okay, so the parent-child class really helped calm my fears, and I got to see firsthand and observe the way that the teachers interact with the children and the one-on-one and how they pay attention to their individual needs. And what I was really excited about was being able to see the routine that my son was going into and see the way that um, things were flowing for him. So I think it was a really good thing to just calm fears there.
I would tell other parents, do it. Sign them up. Do whatever you can to get them in Central Cove.
you're going to have fantastic communication with the staff, with the administration. Any questions you ever have are going to be answered quickly and pleasantly. You know, as involved as you want to be is as involved as they want you to be. So they're never going to make you feel like you ask too many questions or you want to be too involved, you know.
I did actually have a friend contact me and ask me about it, and I told her that it's a really great school and there's a lot of structure, and the teachers pay close attention to the students' individual needs. I felt like they got to know my son before they even had him in the parent-teacher class.